Greetings, everyone. Well, the holiday haul updates continue unabated. This time it's going to be a bit of a smaller one. Just a couple of things I wanted to share with you that I picked up, I guess, around Black Friday-ish, was it? No, actually it was the middle of December. It was the middle of December. A couple of exclusive titles came out here in Canada land. I was totally surprised that we got these, like completely shocked and stunned, and couldn't resist them. They were a couple of Future Shop exclusives, and to be honest, I hadn't really set foot in Future Shop much since being summarily laid off about a year ago, and well, this one was just too much to resist. I decided to bite the bullet and go back to Future Shop. I'm kind of glad I did, because it turns out they had quite a lot of stuff recently that was of interest to me. For example, all the Spider-Man Steelbooks that I got the other day. But this particular one was one that I just could not resist. What is it? Welcome back. Yes, the power of the Doctor compelled me to return to Future Shop. Well, as you may recall, around the time of the 50th anniversary back in November, I did a review of An Adventure in Space and Time, which of course is the behind-the-scenes story dramatized of how the show originally came to be back in the early 60s. And it's also kind of a biography of the later career of William Hartnell and how he was such an integral part of the beginnings of the show. And just a wonderful, wonderful movie. If you want to check out my review of it, I'll put a link for that in the description so you get a little more detail. But yeah, at the time of the review, I had no idea this was coming out. I knew there was a DVD release coming, but I had no idea that it was going to be a Canadian exclusive. I mean, how cool is that? I'm totally floored that we got Canadian exclusive Doctor Who DVDs. I mean, that just never happens. So, quite nice. They have one of the movie posters on the cover there. Quite snazzy. And then on the back, we've got some pictures from the movie itself. And it is, of course, in a lovely slipcover. Ooh, look at that slipcover. Very nice. No embossed or anything. It's a pretty basic slipcover. But then inside, the actual keep case is much the same. And then inside there, really nothing spectacular inside. Just some nice disc art. Now, in terms of the contents, there's actually quite a lot of cool stuff on here. Special features. So we have a behind-the-scenes special narrated by Carol Ann Ford, who is, of course, the original actress who played Susan in the original series. Recreated scenes from the first Doctor Who story, An Unearthly Child, using original Marconi cameras. Yeah, they actually used the same type of cameras that they used when they originally made the show to do these recreated scenes. So for the most part, these recreated scenes appear in the film in sort of truncated form. Here you get to see the full scenes as they were recreated by the production team of the movie, which is pretty cool. So you get to see David Bradley reenacting, some of the classic scenes from that first episode, and the other cast as well, of course. And then you've also got additional scenes that are recreated, just some random, First Doctor clips, many of which no longer exist in their complete form, recreated by the cast of the movie, which is pretty cool. And you got some deleted scenes. You've got a recreated, couple of recreated regeneration scenes, so pretty cool, and many more. Yeah, there's a nice selection of extras on here, considering this is just a very quick release after the original airing of the movie. As I said in my review, I was kind of hoping they'd put out a Blu-ray version, but if this is all we're getting for now, I'm quite happy with that. It's a very nice package indeed. And then next up, second but definitely not least, we have The Enemy of the World, which is a classic second Doctor story recently rediscovered after being missing for 45 years. This has not been seen in its entirety since its original airing back in late 1967, early 1968. So, pretty cool. I mean, a lot of people thought, I mean, myself included, that we would never see a lot of these classic stories again. Well, they found this one complete in its entirety. Previously, all they had was episode 3. You may recall in my Doctor Who DVD disambiguation for season 5, I believe, I talked about this one a little bit and how there was only one episode surviving. Well, not anymore. Now they actually have all 6 parts of this classic story. This is one of the ones, of all the ones that are missing, this is one of the ones I was really hoping they would recover, because it really shows just what an amazing actor Patrick Troughton really was. Because you actually get to see him not only as the Doctor, but also as the lead villain, playing a dual role. As the lead villain here, who is an evil dictator named Salamander, who's basically, ruling the world with an iron fist. And really, really cool stuff. I really like this story a lot, so I'm very happy that that they have at last recovered it. Now, that said, it's beautifully restored by the restoration team as usual. It looks and sounds fantastic. But strangely enough, it's actually bare bones. There isn't a single extra to be found. Now, this has also got a nice snazzy slipcover to it. Inside is a cover much like the rest of the Doctor Who DVDs, even has the spine to match, and design is very similar to the other Region 1 releases. So if you didn't have the slipcover, it actually match up quite nicely with the rest of the collection. So kind of disappointing there aren't any extras on this. I imagine we'll get some kind of special edition of it at some point. But it's just nice to actually have the story in, beautiful quality, fully complete for the first time, literally, in 45 years. So both of these were Canadian exclusives, even more exclusive. They were Canadian exclusives only available at Future Shop. So, yeah, I couldn't resist getting these. I just had to go back. I was like, you know what? That's it. It's been a year. I'm going back. I need goodies. And in other Doctor Who news, I actually I asked Rosie before Christmas if there was any comic books that she'd like. Because, myself growing up, I really... reading comic books was very instrumental in teaching me to read. And getting me into, long-form stories and things like that. And there was quite a few that I enjoyed as a youth, one of which, of course, being Doctor Who comics. And a little while back, I actually gave her some of my duplicates of some of the old Marvel Comics reprints. These are her copies here. You can see they're not in the greatest condition. They're basically reading copies. I have, near mint condition copies of both of these for my own collection. But I thought, it would be nice for Rosie to see. We got these. This is the first time that these stories had appeared in color. Originally, they had been published in Doctor Who magazine in serialized format. So this is the first time. Well, first off, it was the first time that Doctor Who comics had appeared over in North America, but also the first time they'd been published in color. So we got 2 issues of that. And a few years later, they actually reprinted them in Doctor Who Classics magazine, or comic, and they did this beautiful recoloring on them. You can see that it's quite a night and day difference. I mean, this is just beautiful, and all on nice glossy paper and everything. Anyway, so I asked Rosie what kind of comics she wanted for Christmas, and she said she'd like some Sonic the Hedgehog comics, because she loves the Sonic comics that she got from some of my viewers, and is constantly flipping through them and really likes them. So I didn't actually end up getting her any Sonic comics. We're gonna go to the comic store and pick out some during one of her upcoming visits. She said she wanted some Homer Simpson comics, so she's starting to get into the Simpsons. So I picked her up this one, actually. Just one second here. The Simpsons Comics Colossal Compendium, Volume 1. Very nice. I also knew that, she's always been a big fan of the classic Garfield comics, the classic Garfield cartoons from the 80s and 90s. So I picked her up this as well, the Garfield Fat Cat 3-pack, which has the first 3 books, beautifully redone in full color, actually. Even the daily strips are all in full color in this. It's quite nice. And in addition to that, she said she would like some Doctor Who comics. So I asked her, I said, well, did you want some of the newer comics, or did you want the older comics? And without hesitation, she said the older ones. So she wanted basically more stuff like this, because she likes these. Now these, unfortunately, the 2 issues I gave her don't give her a complete story in either one of them. This is like parts 1 and 2 of this story, this is parts 1 and 2 of this story. So she's got no complete stories. So I knew that if it was older comics she wanted, that these are available in a variety of editions. So, for Rosie, I picked up the Doctor Who Classics Omnibus. Which is nearly 400 pages of classic Doctor Who comics, and you can see it's got all the ones from the Doctor Who Classics comics with all the beautiful recolored color and everything. And it's just absolutely gorgeous. So this volume contains almost all of the 4th Doctor stories that appeared in Doctor Who magazine throughout the late 70s and early 80s. It also includes a few 6th and 7th Doctor stories, specifically the ones written by Grant Morrison. Then I also picked her up Volume 2. This contains the last of the 4th Doctor stories, all of the 5th Doctor stories that were published, and most of the 6th Doctor stories. Specifically, all of the 6th Doctor stories, minus the couple of stories that are in Volume 1. So, I don't know why they stuck those stories in the middle of Volume 1. It seems kind of weird, because for the most part, for the rest of it, they keep the continuity of the original publication dates. But anyway, she wanted Doctor Who comics. She got Doctor Who comics. That's right, nearly 1,000 pages worth of Doctor Who comics. So this is the kind of thing that I know she'll be able to enjoy over the course of years, like for the rest of her life. So this is something that she'll be able to come back to as she gets older and, you know, read more of and pour through and get more out of as she grows up. So, you know, I collected these comics back when Marvel Comics was reprinting them in the 80s. They had this really nice deluxe edition series that only ran for 23 issues. They got most of the way through. They did all the 4th Doctor stories and got through most of the 5th Doctor stories and had a few other random ones in there. I used to have a complete set of those. One of my goals is to get that complete set again, even though they have the newer, better color versions. Mainly for nostalgic purposes, just that was my introduction to the Doctor Who comics, so I'd like to have that set again. So, anyway, now I can at least introduce those wonderful old stories to Rosie in the form of those 2 omnibus editions. So, let's put these up here. There we go. Doctor Who up the wazoo. Yeah, great stuff. If you want like a good solid introduction to early Doctor Who comics, I highly recommend picking up these 2 omnibus editions. They are fantastic. I should mention also they feature artwork by Dave Gibbons for almost all of the 4th Doctor's run and most of the 5th Doctor's run. And then it goes off to some other artists, and then you have the wonderful 6th Doctor stories written by Steve Parkhouse and drawn by John Ridgway. Just fantastic, fantastic stuff. I mean, this really is the golden age of Doctor Who comics, and some of the best stuff that I've ever seen. I understand that a lot of the 8th Doctor stories are kind of the second renaissance for the Doctor Who magazine comics, so I'd definitely like to pick those up. For me personally, I want to get that Marvel set that I used to have, and I also want to get the Panini has actually been reprinting all of the old Doctor Who comics in chronological order, like the Doctor Who magazine comics, in chronological order in their original magazine size pages in huge collected editions. And I got a whole bunch of volumes of those. I don't think I got like 16 or so volumes or something like that. But definitely want to pick those up. Anyway, there you go. Some cool new stuff for the Doctor Who collection. Well, for my collection and for Rosie's collection, so not too shabby. Lots of Who in the McLean household. Alrighty, I think that's it for this one. So we'll see you next time for more of the holiday updates. Until then, thanks for watching, and sayonara.
Ow.